things first, you already win. You already him, you don't gotta pretend. Fuck them, you already king. You stay real, you confident in your skin. It's all now, sit in the power that you already in. This the story of a master from a true Bedouin, far away from home than few ever been. First round pick, league of the smooth gentleman. The game rigged like 50 said it's a cruel sentiment. I'm from the era when lyrics and bars is over everything. 5-star veteran. You couldn't walk in my fucking shoes or carry them. Excuse my borderline is very thin. Been married to the game like ever since maybe 2010. I realized most of y'all not serious. Point blank period. I flex and twist necks like cherry stems. Thought he was buried, but there he is, a new narrative. I keep winning.
They not used to what you bringing, kid.
I keep winning.
They don't even know what they looking at.
I keep winning.
Man, yo, pick one lane and stay in that
I
shit.
keep winning.
You came up on that hood shit.
I
my
keep
nigga,
winning.
Nobody seeing your vision for real,
I keep
man.
winning.
Even your friends don't fuck with you.
How we doing? Yo, this is July 8th,
Right now.
and this is
Your heart pound.
another episode
Clear
of
throat,
How Billy
right when the
Sees It.
crowd
We're so
pipe
glad
down.
to have you.
It's kinda like time froze on ice now.
Really
Damn,
excited to have
stomach
a
tight
very
round,
special
flipped
guest.
upside down.
And we are going to introduce them right now. Let me just let me give a little introduction. This is an author and an award-winning journalist, the founder of a very important online magazine that's been running for a while, E Pluribus America. Let's get her on, Jeanette Lenoir. Hey.
Yay! Hi, Billy.
Hey, what's up, Jeanette? How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well.
I'm very glad. Thanks for agreeing to come on. I've done your show twice now, and I've
That's
been,
right.
been very glad to do so. And it's your first time on How Billy Sees It. Yeah.
I know. I'm so excited. I'm so happy and honored. Thank you so much for thinking of me, and I'm so happy to, to be your guest. So exciting.
Yeah, thanks for it. Let's jump right in. You are a journalist. You've been a journalist for some time. I consider myself a journalist, and for as I continue to think about like the work that I do day to day, I try to encourage the idea that each of us can step into journalism, and that we can improve journalism by stepping into it. It helps our discernment by doing it. So,
Yeah.
and I see indie journalism is exploding. Like you and I might have been early adopters to the internet
Yeah.
journalism, but it's happening. So tell me a bit about indie journalism. Let's start with that.
Oh boy. My magazine started really out of tremendous pain. My goal was to be a television news anchor. So I was chasing a dream, but I was shut out. They wouldn't let me in. I went to a town that wasn't very, accepting or favorable to diverse anchors. They'd never had a black anchor. It was upstate New York. So I did get it. I was working in radio there. But I was trying to break into television. It was always the dream. I wanted to be a television news anchor, and thought I would go to a small town and then work my way to NBC in New York City. That was the
Right.
goal and the dream. But what I really realized was how highly competitive it is. It is competitive. It is. It is. It's one of these tough industries that only certain people get to have the anchor chair. You got to look a
Sure.
certain way, you know what I mean?
Talk a
And of
certain
course, I
way.
was very naive. I was thinking, no, I have an American dream. It's like, no, but you're still in a very segregated country, and where certain mentalities and certain systems still rule. So I wasn't able to get in. So I said, you know what? I'm going to make my own.
Do my own
So
thing.
I said, I'm going to build my own, and no one's going to keep me out. And so, out of rejection and pain, I said, I'm going to build my own online magazine. I'm going to have my own channel, and I'm going to make my own media company. And E Pluribus America was born. I launched the website in 2016, and we've been covering stories and telling stories about American culture ever since. So it's been a journey of empowerment too. So I think indie journalism is about empowerment, and about and taking control of our storytelling as a society, as a community, as people. we can no longer trust mainstream media. We can't trust corporate media. They've made it very clear that they operate on behalf of the government, right or wrong. We are currently,
Right.
you know, in full genocide support mode. We are bombing people left and right in the name of, what is it, freedom or democracy? I don't even know. You know what I
Depends, right?
mean?
Depends on the
So it's
day.
been absolutely insane. So we have to take back control of the storytelling of our humanity, where we're going, where we've been. They've lied so much. So many of the things that I know now is because they're self-taught. When I was in from high school into college, they never taught me the real truth about American history, about Black history, about world history. They this country is very manipulative when it comes to the truth about our lineage, where we come from, even what how Black people have contributed to this country. A lot of it has been hidden because they don't want our glory, our glory flag to fly. They don't want to give us credit. So we have to take back control, and I, not just Black people, but Black, Indigenous, people of color, and all oppressed people everywhere. And technology, as it is now, has given us a pathway
Yep.
to really take back control of our own humanity and our storytelling, and see the world as it really is, not just what those who have the most power tell us it is, because it's
Yep.
clear that they've lied to us and continue to lie to us and gaslight us all the way. So I love indie journalism, and I support it fully. Now, we do have the other issue of misinformation and disinformation.
Yes.
I am a journalist. I do have a, um, a science degree in journalism, so I think it's very important to have that educational backing, so that way you understand what journalism is all about. It's yes, you can go on the street and do man on the street and kind of cover things like that, but there are ethical standards and there are guidelines that journalists follow, and I think that's important. And we see a lot of silliness, on in the you know
Online.
online, where
Yeah.
people think they're committing journalism, but they're really not. They don't fact check. They don't do their diligence enough to make sure that the information that they're disseminating, they're sharing, they're talking about is actually factual. And that's very dangerous, very, very dangerous. So I love the independence of journalism and that we can have that control. But we also have to be careful at who we're listening to, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. I think that's definitely right. I mean, the journalism standards have they exist. There are serious people who have put in place a set of standards that we can look to and try to
Mhm.
adhere to. And we, like you said, the mainstream, the big guys have abdicated that space almost entirely. They are just kind of reporting, for the people who are doing the advertising, and for the government. It's really dangerous stuff. And I think independent journalists, like you said, the internet gives us a chance now to to each kind of to chip away at that. Like they no
Yeah.
longer have the microphone alone, at the very least.
Yeah.
And I think it's a really powerful thing, because I think that words and the narratives create reality. You know what I mean? Like I think the very fact that some people are, you used the word genocide earlier, I think that's accurate for what's going on. But to
Mhm.
avoid that word creates the reality where Netanyahu is being invited to Congress, creates the reality where people are still talking about this genocide in a way, are still confused about who the aggressor is somehow.
Right.
It's insane. And so it's very important, I think, that we step into it. And even the people who are doing it flawed, I just want to encourage them to take it seriously, try to understand what it means, what truth is more complex than just blah blah blah. um but to do it.
Yeah. Yes, yes. Well, listen, we give it respect. We give it respect because of the caliber of the work that we represent. So And that's important, because we do want to arm people with knowledge. We want to arm them with information. And so if you don't have the information, then you're not really arming them in ways that will um, allow them to make decisions that are impactful.
Correct.
So we have to give it respect. But yeah, I love the fact that there's so many people, so many young people out there that are just like, they're
Yeah.
just doing it. And you know what's so cool too? There's they have so many more followers, like these YouTube channels.
Yeah.
They have more followers than a lot of these mainstream media or corporate media types. I mean, they are blowing them out of the water.
They
People
really
are
are.
literally leaving the television and they're going to YouTube, they're going to Twitter, they're going to social media to get snippets of information or something a little bit more exciting that they can relate to. I mean,
Yeah.
they have more following, and that's really exciting to see. It's very interesting to see.
It really is.
Uh,
And
I like it.
I love it. And I think when I think about it, I think about like I said, like doing it makes you better at spotting it. I think what I mean to say is, as you get up and you start to engage in journalism and create content, either written or video like this, dealing with the questions of how do you monetize and dealing with these ethical questions of like, how do you write a headline for clicks or do you want to be more accurate? It helps us
Yeah,
understand what the big boys are going through and like how they're failing, you know?
yeah. But we want to break what the big boys are going through,
Correct.
because to me it is not sustainable, because it continues to separate us in not just by class, not just race, as we already are, but it almost makes it seem like they're the ones are the holders of truth, and they're not. We all are witnesses to what's happening around us. For example, I did mention the G word, but if it was a corporate media type or something, you can monetize it. You will get
Yeah.
punished for that. You get punished for speaking the truth. It's outrageous. My goal is to break that. We have to be beholden to what we say we are. The ideals of America have yet to be. Langston Hughes wrote about the America he wants to be, he wants to see, and he's never experienced it.
Mm.
And I want that America too. And that America has yet to be. And
Mm.
so we have to keep fighting for this America to be an America that is inclusive of all of us,
Yeah.
not just those uh, who benefited from chattel slavery and got the upper hand and now get to rule over the land. These are new days.
Yes.
And
Yes.
we have to, all of us, rise up and put our hands on the table and take care of our nation and our people, and
Yeah.
come together and not let these politicians and manipulate us to hate each other, because as we fight amongst each other, they walk away with all the money, they walk away with the biggest pieces of the pie, they
Yeah.
walk away making all the laws, they get to speak for us, they get to over militarize their police. Every single day there's something happening with where some police feel so emboldened to just violate people's rights.
Yeah.
And it's shocking to me. It's absolutely shocking to me. We have to be Americans, and not just in name only, but in action, in deed, and in how we live with one another and treat
Every
one
day.
another.
And how we
And we
speak to
need
one
to
another.
stop
Yeah.
listening to the people that are confusing us and turning us against each other. Um, and especially as we look at this election that's coming up, there's this huge, um, like they're propagandizing us to
Hmm.
think that our only options are either Trump or Biden. That's it. And that's not true. We have the Green Party, we have the Independent Party, we have many other people that are running in this election, but people are not paying attention to it. But who do you blame, though? It's easy to blame those who are fueling misinformation, disinformation, and confusion. Sure. But at some point, we have to be accountable too, because the information is there.
Yeah.
The information is there. We have to see it for what it is, and just take accountability for our choices in the selection. We have to vote, and we have to vote our humanity, and we have to vote people out of office that are not doing the job that we elected them to do.
That's
Look
right.
what's happening. Most people are over 70% now are against what's happening in Gaza, by the hands of Israel. Most people are against this terrible uh, G word, not to ruin your video. They're terrible. They're against it. Um, but yet, this country is like, yeah, whatever. They gaslight us into thinking that we have no voice, we have no right, as if we're not the ones who put them there,
That's
and
right.
that's a big problem.
Yeah.
It's a big problem.
It's a huge problem, and it's it's a psychological problem. It's political manipulation in a lot of ways. It's identities. We have racial identity, gender identity. We have
Yeah.
political identity, where people are committed to a symbol and a color, blue or red, and like unwilling to see. And one of the, we're gonna get into the politics, electoral politics, and like the horse race politics even deeper. But I find that just so troubling because even after the debates that we just saw, which were, I mean, we can scant call it a debate even, but the way people are so quick to rally the troops and fall in line in the support of Joe Biden again, to me, it's really weird. It's if the Republicans do something like that for Trump, everyone sees it. Everyone sees it. They go, "You're not looking. You're not paying attention. You're committed. You're just a fan of Trump. You can, But when it's for Biden, the rationale is that it's a necessary and a good thing to do. It's good for America to close your eyes and to be this like cheerleader. And what's up with that? That's just political philosophy, I think.
But it's also fear mongering. They use fear to get people to vote the way they want them to vote, and they propagandize people tremendously. But a lot of fear also. Listen, I'm no fan of Trump, but I don't think he's as evil as people want him to be. I don't. But he's also not our only option, And he is an incredibly divisive figure. He is not good for the country, and you just have to open your eyes and see that he is not a good person for this country. He has done nothing but divide us even more. He has taken advantage of people's lack of education to really enrich himself and his family. His daughter and his son-in-law are building hotels and restaurants somewhere in Ukraine right now, or some other Baltic country. Look how much money these people have made, and they're just doing it right in our faces. It's so outrageous, And mind you, most of the people that support him are, they they're they're not, just like he said, he loves the uneducated, and a lot of the people that are supporting him, like look at the folks that showed up on the January 6th riot when they stormed the Capitol. You think those are CEOs? Those aren't CEOs. Those are angry white people, a lot of angry white people, and they're seeing their country change in front of them, and they feel very scared of what's happening,
They've been
but the
told a
only
story.
constant in life is change.
Exactly, exactly. They've been told a
You know?
story about what the country was or should be, and about these changes. The story, instead of like accepting change and looking at the change themselves, they've been fed a story about what the change means exactly. Everything from the border to
Yeah.
um, questions of racial preference. Um, in order to fix historical problems. You said something earlier. I want to go back to this. You talked about
Mhm.
critiquing America from. You didn't say this, but I read it as critiquing America from love. Right? You
Mhm.
are. Some people, if you start to critique the country, they get all frazzled. They want to believe that everything's don't. We just finished July 4th. America, the founding fathers, this perfect
Mhm.
project, but it's like you have to deal with truth. You have to you from love. It's like you said, and like
Mhm.
so many others have said, the words on these documents that we have never really been instantiated in how we conduct ourselves in this country. And the word, like, it needs critique, it needs challenge. um and it's weird because the right wingers know this. They know this on some level. They're willing to critique the country, but then they also have this weird nostalgia, this idea that at some point, maybe in the 30s, back when women couldn't vote, maybe back in the antebellum South, that there was some better time, and that's the whole undergirding of MAGA, right?
Yeah, and it's it's just unadulterated racism. And, there's a great quote, and I think it was by LBJ, who said, if you can convince the poorest white man that he's better than a successful black man, you can empty out his pockets. And so that sentiment still exists, and that's what Trump uses.
Yes.
He's convincing people that people are trying to take this country away from them,
Yes. Yes.
you know? And that's where you have to ask, why doesn't history matter? Why doesn't history, the way this country came to be, matter? Because if it did, Black people would have reparations by now. It is outrageous that we are disregarding the history of this country, the reason why this country is as wealthy as it is, and the people who made sure who were beaten and brutalized under chattel slavery to ensure that this country became the richest country in the world. And those who are now in power and benefiting from all of that are still using this divide and conquer tactic to continue to get away with the biggest piece of the pie. They're lying to us and pitting us against each other so they can get away with all the harvest of this country. The history of this country matters. If you love this nation, then you must love the people who built it.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you love this nation, you must love the people who built it.
Yeah.
Because the people who built it did it under slavery. And those same people went and fought every single war that this country has engaged in. You can never tell me who a real patriot is unless that person is a Black man or a Black woman. Those are the people who built this country. Those are the people who still and signed up and fought in this country and for this country to help free themselves, And we do have to talk about allies. This is not a black and white thing or separating people. We need allies for a better world. We have to come together to create a better world for all of us. And we have to call out all of those that are manipulating the truth so they can get away with the benefits that comes with brutality. Look at how much money is being spent on wars. Look at how many veterans are on the street. Why aren't they fighting for the veterans as much as they're fighting for Trump? Did Trump go fight a war? How dare they? How can you celebrate 4th of July? How do you get to celebrate the 4th of July? You think it just showed up? People died for you to celebrate the 4th of July. And let me tell you something. Trump never went to war to fight for this country. How dare you go and you support a man who did nothing but feed at the trough of the wealth of this country, when he doesn't deserve it. That is outrageous. That is the most un-American thing to do, the most un-American way of believing. You will pass by a veteran who fought, lost a leg, is homeless, is mentally hurt on the street, so you can go support a demon like Trump. That's outrageous to me. And then you want to call yourself a patriot and fly a flag? That flag doesn't belong to you. You desecrate the meaning behind the flag. It's more than just the red, white, and blue and stars and stripes. It's about the feeling and the dream and the ideals behind that flag. And those ideals have yet to be here for all of us. We're still fighting for that.
Yeah.
So anybody who supports Trump is an absolute traitor to the American ideals. It's an absolute traitor to every single true American in this country, and an absolute traitor to every Black person in this country. Because if anyone is a true patriot, it's the Black people who built this country and continue to stand up and fight for this country, to bring about a country where all of us can feel good in it. It is truly outrageous. But when you are confusing people with so much stuff, it's hard for them to stop and pay attention and look back and go, where did we come from? How did we get here? Well, history matters.
That's right.
History matters. And if you don't get down with history, we will continue to repeat the cycle, because history is cyclical. and it will
Exactly.
continue to be cyclical until we look at ourselves in the mirror, face the truth of the matter, and then together fix this country and create a country for all of us. It's
Hmm.
possible, but not with these people in charge.
No, I think it really is possible. I do want to, thanks for that. I think it's very possible. And I
I got a
think,
little passionate, sorry.
yeah, get into that. I love it. Um, the funny thing is, you mentioned everything you just said there was powerfully put.
Hmm.
And yet we have a sizable, and it seems they're saying a growing number of black men in particular who find Trump like a reasonable alternative to Biden. Like um, Trump has, a growing sizable number of black men voting for him, it seems. And this to me is rooted in, obviously, we're in this celebrity culture world.
Yeah.
We're in this like hyper individual capitalist world. We're in this high marketing. People aren't looking at what is, they're looking at these marketed images, and we're a very ahistorical society as well. And so black men, veterans, veterans as well, will not come to the conclusion that you just did in terms of Trump not only running away from military service but mocking veterans as he's done several
Yeah.
times, and yet he's still seen as someone worth supporting. It's really shocking to me, and that's, again, it goes back to journalism for me, because the stories, the narratives are just these selling. There's a right wing media machine that is just creating content and documentaries and docu-series telling the stories that remove history from the analysis and simply left and right talk in terms of left and right, which,
Hmm.
I understand left and right, as I understand the meanings behind those words politically, but it robs us from talking about what is the texture of what is. I'm just like opposing the right or opposing the left, and that means I have to knee jerk be with Trump or knee jerk be with Biden. We need a more textured adult conversation.
I agree, but I believe people are afraid. People are afraid of the truth. They're afraid. They want to give all their power to whoever they elect and let them do all the thinking for them. Let them decide, And the minute they do something they don't like, then they'll be like, oh, But it's like, no, you got to be a part of it the whole way. But I really think people are afraid. I think they're afraid of the truth, because the truth is brutal. The truth is
The truth is
very,
brutal.
very brutal.
Yeah,
It's very brutal, but it is our salvation.
yeah, it is. It
It is
really
our
is.
salvation. We have to face it. We have to confront it. You know, if we want what's on the other side, we
Which
can't just
is,
wish and hope. We
yeah,
have to face this ugly truth, you know,
yeah,
and and those who have benefited from slavery, those who continue to benefit from slavery and Jim Crow, Reconstruction. I just did a piece about sundown towns. There's still maps about sundown towns in America. These are old ghosts that refuse to die. They just don't want to die. But the country is changing, and it will continue to change.
yeah,
So you can join and be part of that change and help shape a country that is inclusive of you.
yeah.
Maybe help change your hateful heart, you know, and then
Right.
we'll move forward together. But
You got to
you,
face the
you
truth.
have to face it.
And it's that facing the truth. I would call that being radicalized. Sometimes I might use it that, because what you know when I first came to Washington D.C., I was a Capitol Hill staffer. I worked
Oh,
for Yeah, I was a staffer for Congressman Tim Bishop. I started off as like the front desk person, and eventually I was in L.A. And
uh-huh.
um, my path to here included dealing with the reality of the Iraq War. I was someone who was really deeply embedded in the political stuff and the Democrat stuff. I didn't want to deal with what the Iraq War was at the time. This was back in 2000,
Hmm.
2006. And it took looking directly at what it was, looking at America's military history, looking at the history of, military interventions, and being honest that the story I had about WMD and Saddam Hussein bad, and the yellow cake and all that, that was all nonsense, and that the truth is a much uglier thing. It's about domination and empire. And once I was able to look at that honestly, I had to reconstruct my entire life, frankly. It led me out of Capitol Hill. It led me down this whole path that is very beautiful. I'm very happy to be where I am. But like, this is the fear thing that you're talking about. It took a while though. It was a process for me to be comfortable, to
Yeah.
admit, to go, oh, because somehow I knew it would change how I saw the world, and it had the potential to change my career.
Oh yeah, listen, the truth is punished. You will be punished for the truth. It's become part of American culture. It is American culture. Look at who we glorify. Look at who we sick on people as entertainment and as icons. The sexy reds, the the Kardashians, the violence music, the over sexualized images, even to children. It's just there's a lot happening, and we are a lot. They want to keep the population comfortably numb. But if you see and pay attention to what's happening in the world, that is not sustainable. The rest of the world, America is not the world. America is not the world. And we have to understand that we are part of the world. And our role in the world is not to dominate everybody and allegedly be spreading democracy, because clearly that's not what's happening. And if we don't come to terms with that, we are going to suffer tremendously. They say that when elephants fight, it is the grass that suffer. So when these politicians go and wage wars, it is our people, our children that they use to go and fight these wars. Our children go and die in wars. Their children don't. Look at Bibi Netanyahu. Guess where his son is? Guess where his son is? Last I checked, he's in Guatemala hiking. And then he was in Miami, just living it up. How is that possible? How can people literally sit here and say, we support this man, even though he would not even send his own son to fight a war that he so much believes in? Who's the idiot? Who's complicit here?
That's right.
Who is complicit? The people are complicit in this as well. We have to take account of our role in the destruction of the world. Because if you look at what's happening, I think as an American, I would be so afraid to travel right now as an American, because I think there's so much anti-American sentiments in the world because of what our government is doing, in spite of what we want, against our will.
Exactly.
But who do you think is going to pay? We're going to pay the price.
That's exactly.
And that's
right.
outrageous to me. And while they sit in their ivory towers with their kids, planning for spending money that they've looted from our tax dollars, so their children, like Hunter Biden, can smoke crack in the White House. It's outrageous to me. And then all of a sudden nobody knows who brought in the coke.
Who brought in the coke? Huh? Who did it?
Yeah,
But that's the other thing. It's so crazy,
just
like you
ignore
said.
the white spot on Hunter's nose. Just ignore it. He was eating a donut.
You see how they just, but that's exactly what it would be. It would just be a story. It'd be a donut. Don't worry about that. The laptop isn't this or whatever. It's like, as you said, the anti-American sentiment. You don't want that, right? But it's rooted in something. It's rooted in a truth. But what happens is, if God forbid that this sentiment manifests in some kind of an event, the answer would be that it's like, oh, they hate our freedoms, or these people are evil, or they're just monsters.
Yeah.
We never attach it to the history, to the
Yeah.
the facts. The same as with, like, immigration. When both parties now, Biden's immigration policy is very much similar to his opponent now.
Mhm.
Even though during Trump's years it was a big brouhaha, people were really up in arms about it, but no one ever looks at, like, what causes northern migration from Central America and from Southern America, like
Yeah.
that the economic policies and the interventions and all of that. You just tell yourself a different story, and you go, oh, well, we got to close the border. We got, these people are violent and all this stuff.
Mhm.
When can you tell a full story so that you can actually create the society that is safe, that represents those values that you talked about?
I think the other thing we have to come to terms with is what freedom is, and ask ourselves, are we really free? I certainly don't feel free. I don't feel free. I
In what
feel
way?
bullied and
Mm,
I feel gaslit by my own government.
for sure.
I absolutely, they're not listening. So I don't know where this freedom is because we don't have it. What I see is that corporations are running Congress. I see that lobbyists control what our elected officials do. Look what APAC has done to Congress. Congress is completely compromised, completely compromised. Democrats are forcing an 81-year-old man onto us, and the truth doesn't even matter. The truth doesn't even matter.
It's
First of all,
insane.
he's 81 years old. He has a right. I believe he has served this country long enough. He has a right to just, go home.
Take a
Relax.
break. Just
Go
hang
on
out.
vacation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, relax. Why do we
Four
want
more years.
him to be there? It just doesn't make any sense to me. The whole thing is crazy, but I don't see any freedom. What I do see is, I see corporations changing our foods, forcing vaccines on people. Right now, forcing us to eat fruits and vegetables that aren't even real. They're becoming seedless. They're taking seeds away from people. Now you can barely go to the store and buy something that's locally grown or something. It's just everything is so manufactured and everything has plastics and chemicals. I don't know how many ingredients and products that we use in this country that are banned in other countries, and yet we still are those are the options we have. Is that how a government loves its people? That's not love to me. That's not freedom to me. It
Yeah.
feels like you hate me. If you're more concerned about protecting people's rights to have guns instead of them having access to food, good and healthy food, that's not love to me. Love feels good. Love is not threatening. And we are under threat of our own government. They are forcing corporations' will onto us. And they are taking most of the money. Look how much they fight against a $15 minimum wage. Look how much they're against healthcare for all. But Israelis can have healthcare and free education. That's not with our tax dollars. That's outrageous. And you know what? Don't say that, because then you're going to be anti-Semitic.
It's ridiculous. It's
It's
absolutely.
outrageous to me.
Yeah. What's good is I think again, because of the conversations that we're all having, there's some major pushback on this stuff, even down to the anti-Semitism charge. I think more and more people, definitely than like say 20 years ago, people are like, "What? Get out of here with that. That's ridiculous. You guys are I can critique a foreign government. I can do that, and you won't stop me." And I think that's good.
We have a law. They literally wrote a law in
Can you
Congress,
believe
a
that?
resolution to criminalize people who speak out against what Israel is doing. And there are even some companies that force people to sign contracts that say that they won't be part of the BD, or the
BDS.
movement, or they won't criticize Israel and whatnot. It's just, and also the plain truth of the matter, right? How can you be anti-Semitic to people who came from Europe? How are you anti-Semitic to people who aren't even Semitic?
Mm,
Why don't we know what it means? What
mm,
are Semitic people? That's a basic truth, right?
mm,
That's
mm.
basic information. Semitic people don't look like they just came from Poland.
Yeah.
They don't. They look like Africans. They look like Arab people. They
Yeah.
look like South Asian people. Like, it's outrageous to me that just that simple, plain truth is demonized, and you are criticized for speaking that plain truth. You see, that's bullying. That's oppression. That is using language as a weapon
Right.
against the people. That is not democratic, and that's absolutely un-American. It's not who we are. So we need to know who these people are in Congress, and we need to know why they're trying to force their way onto the American people who do not approve with the state of affairs of this country or the state of affairs when it comes to our foreign policy. We are not the good guys in the room, and they're lying to us to make us think that we are. But I believe we can be the good guys. I believe we can be,
We must
but
be.
not with these monsters in charge.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely. And that's why I think it's important. I can't bring myself to vote for Joe Biden. I know these people are making it. We're going to talk about Project 2025 in a second. That seems to be the current big push to,
Hmm.
in terms of the fear, to help us understand we have to
Yeah.
prevent this thing. But I do think that in Joe Biden, we have someone who is pretty weak and is not going to, like, I don't have any assurances that Project 25 or half of Project 25 will be instated through Joe Biden, anyway, that even in his second term, that these forces will still continue to be there. Those think tanks and um,
Yeah.
all those guys are still going to be pushing their stuff. And who's to say that Joe Biden is a strong defender of liberal or progressive values? I don't see it.
Um,
I
you
don't see it.
know,
And the gaslighting, it's just,
yeah. Yeah, it's also, I think it feels like elder abuse to me. I feel like it's very abusive because you kind of what it's starting to look like is you're starting to see through Biden. You're starting to see through him and see who's really in charge. It's not Biden.
no, not at all.
Biden is an 81-year-old man. I'm not an ageist. I don't really care how old he is, but he's too old for this job. He's too old to run the so-called most powerful country in the world. At 81, he is. Most of the people that are sitting in the Senate and also in Congress, they're also
Too old.
very senior.
Yeah.
It's just simply not fair, and it goes to show you why a power is so addicting and corrupting.
Yeah.
Um, they don't want, and if you look at this field, like, look, America, the face of America is changing. It's the browning of America, right? America is changing, and the Mitch McConnells of the world are afraid. Look at Mitch McConnell. Look
Another one.
how many medical moments he's had
Yeah.
in front of the camera.
They won't
A
go.
couple of times, wasn't he taken away to the hospital because he froze?
Yeah.
He had, and yet he's still a senator.
Still there.
That is an indication of racism and the gluttony of power. He is so addicted to power and this ideal of white supremacy that he's like the crypt keeper holding on for dear life to ensure that his his vision of what he thinks America should be comes to light.
That's exactly
And
right.
it's crazy to me. It's um
And
it's not America.
yeah. And as someone who's just kind of been in these kind of political rooms or even in these media rooms, you can attest to this too. Like, what is it about the fear about someone saying, "Hey, this isn't right. Hey, Joe Biden." I get the sense, and I'm seeing like reporting that in those rooms, no one's willing to say, "Yeah, Joe, you should step back." No one's willing to say that. There's just this yes thing, and it's just a
Um
culture.
it's Yeah, it's very tribal. It's a tribal thing. I even heard Joey Reid say she would vote for Biden even if he was in a coma. And someone as smart as Joy Reid, you would think that she would have at least access to history and know the history of how Democrats have always treated Black people, how they've always lied to Black people, they've always made promises to come and get our votes, and then always let us down. Even when it came to the 1964 Civil Rights Bill that was supposed to be passed the year before. Fannie Lou Hamer spoke the truth. LBJ, when she was testifying in Congress, LBJ, a Democratic president, went and did a press conference just so he could, so all the media attention would be taken away from her and would be put on him because he's the president speaking, and this is a Democrat. So why doesn't that matter to Joy Reid? Why doesn't that matter to Joy Reid? Why
because
doesn't that matter to Black people? Why
because
would you continue to vote
yeah.
for people who have consistently shown you who they are? Does Maya Angelou's words not matter? Is it just for fodder? Is it just something we throw out to feel good about ourselves?
Yeah.
The Democrats have shown us who they are. Let's believe them
Yeah.
because there is another way. We have more options. Let's try Jill Stein. If you don't, what's the other gentleman's name? He's independent. Oh,
Oh, you're not talking about
he has the
Cornell,
acronym.
RFK, Cornell.
Cornell West.
Yes, Cornel West.
I would never support anybody who is supporting this terrible war in Israel and the destruction and the ethnic cleansing of Palestinian people or the destruction of the world. No way.
Correct.
Absolutely not.
Correct.
And we have an option.
Yes.
Let's exercise our choices. That's power. Let's
Yes.
show them what power really is. And the power belongs to us.
It does.
But they use fear mongering. They try to scare us. But we have to take that risk. We have to take a risk because what's happening now is not sustainable. Look how much it costs to pay rent. Look how much rent is. Look how much money they give CEOs every year for bonuses, millions and millions of dollars. The Boeing CEO, who literally caused so many people to die, doors flying off. They completely rigged the system. Guess how many millions of dollars the CEO is walking away with? I think $34 million. That was his bonus.
Yeah.
He got rewarded for killing people, for cheating the system, for being reckless when it comes to people's lives and airplanes. Can you believe that? That's how much they care about us.
Yeah.
That's how much they care about us. And then they put on a big show. They put on a big show in Congress, where they just lecture and they yell at him and like, how dare you? They don't care.
Right.
They go home and they go to bed.
That's right.
They perform and they go
It's
to
all
bed because if they
performance.
really cared, they would make sure that CEO does not get rewarded for murdering people.
Yeah.
That's not the American way. It is outrageous what's happening in this country. We need to vote all these people out of office and bring new people into office who really care about this country, people who know what it's like to live paycheck to paycheck. Not people who grew up with silver spoons in their mouths and were gifted a seat in Congress so they can rule over their land like this is, like we're back in ancient Europe. It's outrageous what's happening. Look how the Supreme Court just voted. They literally voted for Trump to get away with anything he does. So if Trump gets into office and if he decides that he wants to sick the National Guard on us, who's going to stop him, boo? Who going to stop him, boo? The Supreme Court? Now, mind you, that's six people.
It's a mess.
Six people decided to change the direction of this country, to shake the foundation of our three system of governance. That's outrageous. That's very scary.
Supposedly legal scholars, supposedly, Supreme Court justices are supposed to be the highest and most thoughtful and intelligent minds about legality and how this will play out in our system, and they did this, and they've been bought off, which we've seen clearly. And like you said, there's a whole system, not just in government and in media and in Supreme Court, but there's some of these people, we only know them because they're the son of the previous person, and and they're connected in this and all these ways, and they're creaming off the top, and shit rises. It seems.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad.
But it's not sustainable. That's what I'm saying, that we have to take a risk and vote our conscience and vote to take back control of our country and put the power back into the people's hands. We have to take a risk, because if we don't, we're just going to create a deeper divide. Corporations will become more emboldened. They're changing our foods. Bill Gates is putting plastic on foods to ensure that they last longer. So not for our health, but just so corporations can get away with more money. Everything that the people in charge are currently doing are to ensure that that corporations get all the money they can out of our tax dollars. This is our hard-earned dollars. But they don't want to give more than $15 minimum wage. That's outrageous. It's okay if rent is, $1 million. It's insane what's happening. It's not sustainable, and so people become enslaved to the system that has been created. And the trickle down effect is families are breaking up. Children aren't being raised into families' homes because guess what? The government rewards broken families. The government is not going to support you if there's a man and a woman in the household. They're going to support you if you're divorced. So they support that. They support the destruction of families, of American families. So you can't say you love this country when you're not willing to invest in their well-being, if you're more willing to invest in weapons of mass destruction, then you've lost the plot of
Yeah.
humanity. You've lost the plot of democracy. You've
Yeah.
lost the plot of freedom. You've lost your way.
You really have.
And we have lost our way as a nation of people because of those that are in charge. And unfortunately, we have folks like Joy Reid and all those talking heads who don't care because they get away, they're feeding on that trough too. They benefit from the dysfunction of this nation. They benefit from it because as long as they're doing good, the rest of us can eat shit. And they're doing great. Can you
It's
imagine being an anchor and you're making Rachel Maddow, I heard, makes over $100,000 a day.
a day.
You know what I mean? Is that normal?
It's
That's insane
wild.
to me
It's
bec-
wild.
because the system is broken. And
Yeah.
so if we continue to vote the same way and expect change, then we're crazy.
Yep.
That the crazy belongs to we the people. We
Yep.
have to take a risk. We have to take a risk and know that we have the power to change the course of this nation and take back the country and put the power back in the hands of the people. So that way we can build Main Street,
Yeah.
organize Wall Street,
Yeah.
and and make America fruitful for all of us,
I
for
think.
once,
Yeah.
because it's never been.
That's the challenge, and we're dealing with it at a time when it's both a gift and a curse. This technology allows us to speak. It also allows us to be extremely divided. The algorithms can separate the stories that we hear. We can be super, entertained, and pulled away from these kinds of meaningful conversations. Um, hmm. When you say we have to take a risk, I see it. I don't know where we make a little shift into like a faith here thing. Like, I have a thing where I go, by voting lesser evil, which we've done, which
Mhm.
I've been hearing since way back, since the Clinton administration, Bill Clinton.
Mhm.
I've been hearing this lesser evil thing. We produce the slippery slope to the right. And every time the pollsters, all the people in Washington D.C., never get an accurate sense of the anger, never get an accurate sense of the sentiment, the true sentiment. They come away, let's say Joe Biden wins or Trump wins 49%, something like this. That number is inflated by people who voted lesser evil. And so you never get and then they say, well, I have a mandate for this and that. We need a real sense of awareness. If people were to step into what they actually wanted, we could understand what the sentiment of the country truly is without that manipulation, and we'd be empowered to know that um, politics and the American dream is not about voting every 4 years. It is about the work that we do every single day. It's about the conversations that we have with each other and interact with each other every single day. And we have to take that seriously. But the spectacle, this voting spectacle, is such a money boom for everyone. Everyone you mentioned, that they just keep that things going while the rest of us are really frustrated.
Yeah, it's money, money, money by the pounds. That's really what leads the conscience of this country, and and these people look like us. You know what I mean? You would think that they would know better, but that's how corrupting this situation is. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Let's talk about something actually, because you talk about people who look like us. When I think about the Biden administration and I think about the press secretary, let's say, someone
Yeah,
that I actually know, I've met her a few times, and you might know her as well, Karine
I've met a lot.
Jeanpierre.
Karine
Yeah,
Jeanpierre.
yeah, exactly. I
Mhm.
I don't know what happened. They seem to pull her away from the podium for most of like the big Israel stuff. But I sometimes watch and I cringe because I know that she knows so much more
Yeah,
than she's willing to say, and
yeah,
she goes to that podium, and her job is to read these things and field questions from a bunch of bums for the most part who but like
yeah.
but then her answers are these
Manufactured.
evasive
Yeah.
manufactured answers. This I see in these other cases, also in the United Nations, the black woman who raises her hand to vote down ceasefire proposals and things
I
like this.
know.
they put us in the front, so like there's historically we are a part of this monstrosity. And how do you, if I was that woman in the UN, I would feel that, and I would like try to find a way to get out.
She gets paid very well, and part of also one of the things there's a really great book that I love, and I always go back to it. This is a great book. This is a book. It's one of my favorite books. It's called The Negro Church in America by Franklin E. Frazier. This is a very important book because this kind of gives you a clue as to why Black folks pray to white Jesus, which is what uh, Karine Jeanpierre does, which is what Joy Reid does, which is what our UN ambassador does, our ambassador to the UN does. These are people who have been who believe that their glory is not on earth but in heaven. They're going to get paid when they go to heaven because they've been indoctrinated to believe that the white man's wealth will be here on earth while they're still alive, and we suffer, and God will pay us later. You know, now I'm being kind of crass about it, but that's basically it. These people are kind of indoctrinated to believe the the Willie Lynch letter. They're like the Willie Lynch letter people. You know what I mean? They are overseers. They are supporters of oppression because they see value in tokenism.
Right.
You know,
Right.
um, when that is so degrading and destructive of us as a people. But they have been convinced to see that as a valuable thing. Many blacks want to be tokens. They can't wait to be the only black person in the room. Oh, it's so fantastic.
It's
It's a good thing for them, but that's been put into their brains. It's like it's a big deal. And those are the crumbs that are given to a people who built this nation under slavery. Those are the crumbs to kind of to to keep us divided, so they can maintain the hold over us. Because we look at them and say, okay, well, that person made it. I have a chance too. And that
yeah.
they're also fighting to be the first this or the
That's the
first
thing.
that.
I
Yeah.
was just gonna bring that
No,
up.
that is
We are
important.
constantly hit with this idea of the first. The first is we still hear new firsts every couple of
Hmm.
months on something, and I really think it's produced a an anxiety. It's produced in like this sense of looking at this is always a good thing to be the first. So what if you're the first like mega billionaire corruption
Yeah.
guy who's black? Like that's a first,
Mhm.
and it's this too is
Yeah.
something to champion. And
Yeah.
obviously, we need a deeper kind of analysis than that.
Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine what it's like for Karine Jean-Pierre there at the podium facing journalists who do have legitimate questions. I can't imagine what it's like to willingly lie. I can't imagine. I'm sure it's a heavy burden to carry. But when you get to go home to an ivory tower, perhaps you sleep well. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe at some point your conscience doesn't matter, and it's just about survival. Because I think part of it is survival. Everybody wants to make it. Everybody wants to make it, and this is a dog eat dog world. That we live in, and everybody has a right to try to make it, but at what cost? How much are you willing to pay for that? How much does your mother cost? How much does your father cost? How much would you willing to sell your neighbors out for? It seems like everything has a price nowadays. And it shouldn't be that way. Some things should be sacred, and many things are not. Over 50% of marriages end up in divorce, right? When you take a sacred vow, right? That doesn't mean anything anymore.
Mhm.
You can just check it off your things to do. And I think about there's a one of the sister girls, Tia Mowry. She, after 25 years of marriage, She had the nerve to get on a show and be like, "Oh, I graduated from my marriage." And you're just like, "Oh my God, you're such a sad, pathetic person. You're such a sad person,
This
you
is
know?
sister Maori.
You should be celebrating, yeah, Tia Maori. Why would you be celebrating the breakup of your marriage? That is incredibly selfish.
Mm,
That is the me syndrome. It's all about me.
mm.
I need to shine.
What was it? Was it obviously you? You do agree that some marriages could probably dissolve and they might be better. Was it
Sure.
something special or something difficult, like in particular, going on with them, or?
Well, no, she said she graduated. She's over it now. It's like, really? He wasn't beating you. He
Mm,
wasn't, I don't know if he was cheating. I don't know anything about their marriage, but the way she was so flippant about it was
mm.
so indicative of the new culture that we're in. People are so flippant about things that are supposed to be sacred. You know what I mean? You
Yeah,
see, children are killing their parents. It's like nothing. It's just their headline. People are shooting up schools and they're killing children.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's people are going to grocery stores and shooting at black people. Dylan Roof went to a church and killed 9 black people. Can
yeah,
you imagine that?
yeah.
That is outrageous.
It definitely feels, and you're pointing to just a broader sort of degradation of the degrading of certain values for sure. And like you said, sacred vows. But I also want to, like, sometimes we do this thing where we look at the present and we think that, because this reminds me of like some, like there was some halcyon day, there was some better day when things. I think people stayed in marriages longer. They stayed in even bad marriages. Um, but I don't know.
Yeah. Listen, I think I'm a cultural person. I'm a tribal person from Suriname. So perhaps I am a little different in this thinking, but I think I don't think anyone should stay in a relationship that is abusive and unhealthy and it's dangerous. But I believe that if those things don't exist, if you can work it out, then I think you that's what that's the sacredness comes in there.
Right.
That's where you go, well, I made a vow and I'm going to work through it, whatever it is. But our culture is changing so fast that we easily move on like it's nothing. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
it's absolutely nothing for somebody to leave a partnership, or you know but but we are very much into self now. If you go to people's I don't have social media, but anytime I look at people's social media, it's it's nothing but themselves. Like they're looking at themselves. I have some friends that have like Instagram or whatever. And, I mean, to each their own,
Yeah.
but people are so addicted to looking at themselves. Like every post is
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
them in a different
They're
pose.
sharing themselves. Yeah. All that. Yeah.
And you're like, okay, was there a landscape? Did you see a flower? Did you take a picture? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they just seem so self-indulgent. We're so self-indulgent
I
about
see that critique.
things.
I can see that, especially when Instagram first started. I definitely felt that because Facebook, Twitter had this text sort of element to it with pictures, maybe. So you're sharing ideas. And I remember when Instagram came out, it's like, wait, it's just pictures? So you just keep sharing pictures of yourself? And
Yeah.
now, and that was years ago. Now I have to say I'm fully involved in it as I'm trying to, like, share
Yeah.
my stuff. And I definitely
Yeah.
lost that sense. And I know a generation younger than me won't have any of this consideration, any concern. It's like, this is what you do. You share your stuff.
Yeah, I mean, nothing wrong. I think you should celebrate yourself. You should share your life. I think technology has opened so many doors and given us so much access. We're witnessing the annihilation of a people like in full HD. They're posting decapitated babies on TikTok, and they're celebrating sicking dogs on elderly people. Um, So I mean, I think it's fine. I just think there's just too much of that. I think we should really try to find a happy medium where we're because if we are spending so much time in the mirror looking at ourselves, then we lose track of what's happening around us. And perhaps maybe that's why they want us to keep focused and keep looking at ourselves in the mirror, because they get to do whatever the hell they want. By the time it's all said and done, you've lost your opportunity to vote. You forgot that this person wrote a bill that is going to impact you drastically because you're too busy taking, model photos to put on Facebook. And not, I'm not trying to be all judgy or whatever, but I think that's fine. But I think as you look at yourself in the mirror and as you take pictures of yourself, um, don't forget to pay attention to your surroundings too, because there's power there, and you are needed to help construct that power to help build a better world. So you can keep taking pictures, because pretty soon you won't be able to take pictures. They're going to restrict that. It's just a matter of time before life becomes more restricting. Pretty soon they're going to force each and every one of our children to be drafted into wars. So while you're taking model shots, they're planning on how they're going to continue to enslave you, just in a
Exactly.
different name, using a different name. So I just think we have to be mindful of the time we're spending um, on self-indulgence, so that way we can fully participate in this so-called democracy. I
I
think
follow you.
because we are needed there. We're needed there. I think that people forgot that the power belongs to them
Yeah.
and that they have power, but they feel powerless.
They've been
But
feeling
that's just a
powerless.
mirage.
They've been told that they're powerless. They've been told that, and again, for a lot of those men that I said are possibly, like, I know some people, black men voting Trump, and have these little conversations with them. But for the most part, these are apolitical men. They generally don't think that politics is worth their time. They've been told that life is about getting the bag and getting money. And Donald
Yeah.
Trump simply represents a guy who got the bag and got the money. And so then it's like, okay, that so that it all makes sense for them, but it's completely backwards. Just like what you're saying with the pictures, the way I see it, or with Instagram, if you're gonna take pictures of yourself and you're gonna be so self-indulgent, go all the way. Don't just do like the surface images about yourself. Who are you? Tell me about who you are. Tell me about your internal workings as well, not just how
Yeah.
beautiful you are outside, but what is it? What do you care about? What are your values? And that's gonna lead you down a different sort of use of all of the social media, I think.
Well, that's different. I think if you're a storyteller, that's different. I'm talking about the emptiness
Yeah,
of just taking pictures of yourself and posting it. If you're telling stories and using images, I think that's fantastic. Storytelling is what connects us. It's fantastic. So I don't have a problem with that.
yeah,
But when you said something there that I've heard many times, and there's truth in that. There is truth in that capitalism works, because when you look at people who own businesses, they're like, I just want to make sure you come in my store and you buy the things you need to buy and you move on. I'm not getting involved. Um, and I think that's fine, right? And that works for them. But it doesn't. It's not. It's not sustainable,
yeah,
because pretty soon you're not going to have clients to come into your store to buy the things that you're selling,
yeah.
because people cannot afford to even live. They can barely afford anything. So the people who are supporting Trump and who are just interested in the fact that he was able to cheap. First of all, the way the Trumps came into their money is also a historical thing that deserves to be spoken about. Um, these aren't honest brokers. These are people who have cheated and lied and stolen their way to the top, and we glorify them because they dress up so pretty. I mean, look at Ivanka. Look at look at all of them. They just present this image of wealth and superiority, and we fawn over that because we think one day us too. But
It's hard
that's
to do
not the
that.
truth.
Yeah,
It's really disappointing that people are so easily manipulated into giving away their sanity for things like that. It's just disappointing. But
yeah,
I
yeah.
have faith.
Yeah, and that's where I wanted to go. That's it. I've had you now for an hour and 10 minutes, and I'm so grateful. And I guess our last question, or one of our final things before I let you
Mhm.
kind of say a final word, has to do with this. Like, where do you find your hope and your faith? I believe in what you said there about, like you said, like the business owner who wants to just handle their one thing, or the father who's like, my job is to raise my son. Period. I've got no
Mhm.
other thing to concern myself with. My angle is that reality is bigger than that. You might construct a little world where you think that it's just you and your
Yeah.
immediate surroundings, but there are things happening across in New Jersey that will affect you. There are things in China that will affect you. Things in DC, we already know lots of that stuff will affect us. And so you have no choice. It is a privilege and a delusion in a way to think that these things exist outside of you. And so to me, this is part of my faith. I try to like be holistic, and I try to say that the value and the other side that we're looking for comes
Mhm.
in this capacity to incorporate all that is, and to to carry that together. And it's heavy, but if we do it together, we don't know what could come out. So okay, that's my thing. Where does your faith and your hope comes from?
Oh boy, it comes from my mother. It comes from, you know, it comes from my upbringing. It comes from, I'm rooted in love and humanity. I'm a humanist. I'm a Pisces, and so I wear my heart on my sleeve. I wish that everybody could feel good in the world. I want everyone to feel good. I want the world to be a better place, and so I'm a hopeless optimist. I love love, but I'm also a fighter. I fight for the things I believe in, and so I find I find faith in my son. I want to build, I want to help create a world that is worthy of him. I want to build a world that loves him, protects him, and that he feels safe in. I want to build a world that you feel good in. Where I want to build a world where a gay person feels good in, a queer person feels good in, a black person, an Asian, all of us. Somebody with disability. We all deserve um, our space in the world, and so we have to keep fighting. I can never give up. I'm not somebody who gives up. I'm never going to give up. I'm just going to keep fighting for not just for myself and those I love, but I'm going to fight for my neighbors too, because it matters to me. I am my brother's keeper, and I want to create a world where my brother thinks the same of me. My neighbor feels the same of me.
Preach.
So yeah, that's just who I am. I'm like you. I'm also an optimist. So it comes in the hopes and the dreams of all those who went before us. I think about all the ancestors, from Dr. John Henrik Clark to Malcolm X to MLK to Fannie Lou Hamer. When I hear about stories of Fannie Lou Hamer, I still cry. I still cry. I can't believe how painful her life was. I'm so disappointed that her country, that her people built, brutalized her. You know, and I also have faith in those who also love this country and who show up for this country. And I don't care what they look like. I had I had a medical emergency last week, but the people who came into my house to rescue me, they were black, white, and I saw a Latino person. And I was just happy to see them. And they came in and they didn't care that I'm a black woman or whatever. They were heroes, my heroes. They were firefighters, they were police officers, and they were EMTs. Those are the real heroes, amongst us. These people show up and help take care of all kinds of people. And yeah, there's some bad apples in the mix, but for the most part, those are the people that give me hope too. That day when I fainted and I, you know, didn't even know what happened to me, I was so happy to see them. I was so happy to see them, and it really, those are the things that's what I love about this country. I love how we show up for each other, uh, and what's happening in this world, in this country, especially what's happening to the people in Gaza. It's not who we are, and so I'm rooted in humanity enough to speak up about that because I'm an American and that's what we do. We speak up, you know? Those who claim to be Americans and who are feeding a terrible destruction of a people are the epitome of what an an un-American person is, you know? And so we have to fight for our country. And so those are the things that give me
Love it.
hope and strength to keep going. And I love my friends. I love folks like you know, who you and Sheba. I just, you know, you guys are doing amazing things. You inspire me. Um, you know, I love that I have a seat at your table sometimes, and you have a seat at my table. I love how we get to share and have community. And that's important to me. Friendship is important, you know, and so I love that we are living examples of those things, you know. So
I love
yeah.
that. What a great answer, Jeanette. Thank you so much. This whole time, by the way, Sheba's been leaving comments.
Well,
There's a whole bunch of them. You'll see them when it's posted, but I guess I could read some of them. But she's just she's been going through point by point, like applauding you and like
well,
yeah. And
why do
she
you do
says
that?
she says yes, we love a feisty, optimistic Pisces. By the way,
That's right. That's
yeah,
right. This fish will swim.
get it. Yo, Jeanette, thank you so much for doing this. Yo, thanks for your words and your energy, for your wisdom, for your intelligence, for your
Oh, thank you.
your voice, um, your capacity to make things plain, complex things like put it blunt, put it where it needs to be so that we can understand it. And I just want to give you all of the best luck and all of the best like energy to keep doing everything you're doing. And yeah, you're welcome at this table, yo. And
Thank you. Thank you. Love it. Love it.
and
Love it. And guys, let me recommend, please, if you can find a copy of this book, go read it. It'll give you a lot of insight of where our thinking comes from and how we are so obsessed with white Jesus.
mhm, mhm,
So
mhm,
read
mhm.
this book. It's historical. It's a great read, and it'll build brain muscles and really give us more of a clear picture of where we can go out of the fog of disinformation and misinformation. So
Love that.
thank you for having me, Billy. This was such a fantastic show, such a great dialogue. I really appreciate what you're doing.
Thanks so much. Same to you, Jay. Thank you so much. And yeah,
Thank you.
epluribusamerica.com. Check
That's
that
right.
out. That's Jeanette's
That's right.
project that's been ongoing for so long, still rocking. And
That's right.
love you, Jay. Have a great night.
Love you too. You
Okay.
too. Thank you.
All
I'll see
right.
you later. Thank you
Later.
again. Bye.
Uh huh. Last things first, you already win. You already him. You don't gotta pretend. Fuck them. You already king. You stay real. You confident in your skin. It's all now. Sit in the power that you already in. This the story of a master from a true Bedouin, far away from home than few ever been. First round pick, league of the smooth gentleman. The game rigged like 50 said it's a cruel sentiment. I'm from the era when lyrics and bars is over everything. 5-star veteran. You couldn't walk in my fucking shoes or carry them. Excuse my borderline is very thin. Been married to the game like ever since maybe 2010. I realized most of y'all not serious. Point blank period. I flex and twist necks like cherry stems. Thought he was buried, but there he is, a new narrative.
You know the road don't be tough,
I
man.
keep winning.
They not used to what you bringing, kid.
I keep winning.
They don't even know what they looking at.
I
for
keep
real,
winning.
Man, yo, pick one lane and stay in that
I
shit.
keep winning.
You came up on that hood shit,
I
my
keep
nigga. You
winning.
know, nobody seeing your vision for real,
I keep
man.
winning.
Even your friends don't fuck with you.
I
no
keep
more,
winning.
nigga. Be ready for your turn,
So
though,
here's your
G.
one shot right now. Your heart pounding. Clear throat right when the crowd pipe down. It's kinda like time froze on ice now. Damn, stomach tight wound, flipped upside down. Try to speak, but the words and the thought took flight now. Sweaty, but can't pause or to wipe down. You pray for the day you flow with a hype crowd. Now they hanging on your every word and slight sound. Maybe these critics is wrong, maybe you twice as strong. What if every fear and doubt was gone? I'm up first, bright from dawn, like fuck it, we yawn. I squeeze life, pythons bite when the mic's on. Peace, I might respawn. I hook left with the right arm, living in 5-star, ring the alarm. My full nature is still greater, I'm twice born. But never the ball, that's the fucking level I'm on. Picture me lost, I'm differently raw. Been through the muck, most y'all instantly boss. Now I'm strictly the boss, drippy, hood hippie couture. Feeding these bitches till it's ripping they jaws. But y'all fans of the bullshit, me flicking it off. I damage your whole clique, these clowns really pissing me off. My verse is heat, and scripted is law. Like bitch, you fucking know who you sitting across, huh?
Okay, you got their attention now,
I
bro.
keep winning.
You just gotta keep showing them what it is,
I
man.
keep winning.
Your shit different for real, though.
I
man.
keep winning.
Yo, stay away from this politics,
I
though,
keep
my
winning.
dude. They still not getting the message, kid.
I keep winning.
They still don't understand where you coming from.
I keep winning.
But make sure you secure the fucking ground.
I keep winning.
I see the growth,
Yo,
keep going.
I'm through playing it low key. Don't sleep. My power levels are OP. I'm floating. The mask
It
off.
is what it is.
The crew run deep, bigger than Sasquatch. We that large, the last gladiator. Blast off. It's either love or give me respect. That's all. Killing these niggas like, yeah, this what you asked for. Black Panther spit flames from Asgard. The whole squadron click transform. Fuck around, find out. Here's a crash course. We all time past now and fast forward. And we keep winning.